You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Guys, I'm not saying that COVID's over or anything. I'm saying that this is the first year I'm actually planning things for the year. I'm going to do some stuff this year. Nothing crazy. Just back to the same old stuff. But
yeah, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but I mentioned to you guys that we have a couple tickets to a comedy show in Columbus here in April. So, not that it's not like we're hermits and we've been totally locked down or anything,
right.
But it's
who are you going to see?
Bert Kreischer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But it's certainly nice to have things on the horizon to look forward to.
That's exactly what. Once I started booking these things, now I'm like, I don't know. What's that? Is it hope? Is that what it feels? I know it's anticipation, but it's almost like hope for something to look forward to. I don't know. But I've got 3 things lined up this year so far. I've got my Gen Con tickets for August. My vacation, charted out for that, and hopefully, in all these situations, hopefully everything is going good at that time. But yeah, Gen Con. And it does sound though that a lot of people have the same feeling as me, because after I booked my hotel, it was just like within an hour I got an email saying everything's booked. Sorry, I was like, well, I'm glad I got our room. And I got, I'm going to surprise Nick with, he doesn't listen to the podcast. Surprise my son with some 9 Inch Nails tickets. I booked. They're coming to Cleveland. This isn't a big tour. Like we're so lucky that they're freaking coming in the area. But I went in 2014. Told you guys, and he's been giving me hell ever since that I didn't take him. So he's gonna love that we got tickets to Blossom Amphitheater. So it's still like an outdoorish venue, and got some pretty good seats for that. So excited to go see 9 Inch Nails. And then just yesterday, a buddy of mine, Eric, said, take this day off in May. We're going to see An Evening with Neil Gaiman in Cleveland at some theater. I was like, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I was like, I would listen.
He'll read you lullabies in his lovely
basically.
British accent.
I hope that's it. He just reads me some Norse lullaby or something. I'm into it. So I got 3 things I'm really looking forward to. All of this. Nice. So I might find something else. So
plus Galactic Star Cruiser, you're gonna get
Galactic Star Cruiser. I may watch another video.
We're all looking through the porthole on that one. We're not there.
Exactly. But there's stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, oh man, I know it's the time of year. Most of it's just, we're in that part of Christmas, between Christmas and whenever it decides to get warm again, and I feel like I can go do something. But I think we've all handled the pandemic pretty well. But personally, like, I have just been like over it. Like, I mean, we've went to, my daughter's in volleyball season right now, so we've had tournaments sporadically, at least gets us out for a day. But yeah, I felt the same way just here lately in the last couple weeks, especially. I've just been like, I think finally, I'm just over it. I'm tired of it.
We'll let COVID know.
Right.
We're over it.
And
Stop
in fact, I did the same thing. I was sitting at work the other day, and I was just like, I just feel like my mood is terrible. I feel crappy. So I was sitting there, I was like, I'm just going to book a Disney trip.
Oh, yeah?
So
did you?
I did. I've booked a trip I just picked a random week in the fall in November. And I was like, I'm just going to put my deposit down. And because I had first of all, I had a feeling prices normally go up this time of year, and they hadn't yet. So I was like, maybe I'll just, put some money down, book a trip, and then, we'll figure it out. We'll go when we go. But you
cruising? This is a Star Cruiser?
No, no Star Cruiser.
Okay.
So I did that, and sure enough, got up the next day and got to work and saw Disney's raising ticket prices. And I was like, well, I guessed that one okay. And Sure enough, I looked up there, tickets went up a couple $100 for each person for a week, and I was just like, well, glad I booked.
It's starting to look like a pipe dream of ever going back there. You
just got to do what I did. Just book it. Just pick a random date, and then like we were just saying off air, set a deadline, and then that way you go. So I just talked to.
I'll stick to these smaller things.
Well, I just messaged with patron Justin Lowe just a little while ago. And he mentioned that he hit his 100-day marker for their next trip. So they're 100 days out right now as of today. So
now surely he is going to go Star Cruising.
No.
What?
Not yet. Not that I know of. He's DVC. He's using his points. He hasn't went in 2.5 years.
Yeah, this is probably the longest in his adult life he's not between trips.
Yeah, they've been planning this trip now for like.
God, I don't know how. I wasn't sure how big how big of a Star Wars fan is he? I don't feel like I've seen him.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Sure he'd like to go.
Yeah.
Well, he was watching vlogs and videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So just the same as we
that
were.
may be all we need. Just some videos. Oh, they had. I will say this. I watched them do it. They had green and blue milk on tap in the Star Cruiser, and they were making suicides. I was like, okay.
I'm all in.
They were not off the tee.
Can't choose between Empire and Rebellion. Can't choose between blue and green.
Yeah. They weren't straight from the teat, but they were on tap, freaking blue and green milk. So what?
Who knows? This summer I might go crazy and go next door for a taco. I don't. You know what? We all might.
Oh man, go crazy!
Letting our hair down.
I'm just gonna randomly walk into other people's houses for a little adventure. Till then, we're still home watching stuff. So
right.
You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Marsha!
What's up, man? Right, yo. Yo, son, come on. Yo, Omar's coming, man.
I'm Prison Mike. You know why they call me Prison Mike?
Beavis, please sit down.
Are you threatening me? I am Cornholio.
First sign a youngster's going wrong, you got to nip it in the bud. Nip it.
And I'm sitting there with Woody, and I turn to him and I go, boy, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Picture it, Sicily, 1939.
What you talking about, Willis?
Won't you please won't you be my neighbor? My neighbor.
Afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like things are slowing down a little bit some of the things we've been loving are wrapping up. So,
Okay.
what should we start with? Peacemaker.
Sure.
I know Cliff really loved this finale. He was buzzing.
I just enjoyed the entire show a lot more than I had planned on.
It was good.
Yeah.
I thought it started better than it finished. Like I liked it better at the beginning, and eventually I found I was on my phone a lot. But it was good. So go off on it.
No, I really enjoyed it. I was excited about James Gunn, but it was John Cena and Peacemaker that wasn't doing it for me, after seeing the Suicide Squad movie. So, and we weren't, it was just going to be Peacemaker. We were getting, his team wasn't anybody that was really notable. No famous characters other than Vigilante, who, let's face it, how many I've
never heard of him.
Right. So, that was fine. But overall, I really liked, I saw some criticism.
I still sing that
Gunn's
freaking theme song.
Oh, that's
weeks later, just like every once in a while, I'm like, why am I singing this? Like, where am I hearing this? I skipped I mean, it is an earworm.
Yeah, it really is.
Or a butterfly.
Yes, it is a brain butterfly.
No, but I thought everybody was
I'll just be sitting there sucking some honey out of a jar and wondering, why do I have this song in my head?
So I just enjoyed the show. I thought it was I didn't feel like there was a lot of filler in it as far as the episodes went. Like they all kind of worked for me. It moved the story mostly along. It had feel good moments in it. The famous, when they're in the van playing the music and take the little picture, like, it had sweet little moments that you would expect, I guess, from
that's the good.
That's
stuff.
I did not expect that.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a customer. It was maybe 2 or 3 episodes into it. And we were talking about how good it was and how much we liked it. And I said, well, it's not going to do the Marvel style. I was like, it's going to be way more cynical. I said, this won't be the warm, fuzzy, everybody gets warm and fuzzy and it's a found family like Guardians of the Galaxy where everyone, they really need each other. I was like, it's going to laugh at that kind of thing. I was like, nope. But by the end, it had proven me wrong. Like it was dark and cynical, but also it was
that's just James Gunn.
That's the James Gunn thing. And I didn't think he could do it with these characters, these murderous, awful characters that you really shouldn't like. Who they're not trying to make John Cena likable. He is a dumb, loudmouth bully, but then you do feel like they gave him that tragic origin, and you saw his struggle with trying to connect to other people, and I was blown away by how much I cared about these characters by the end. Not ever expecting to. It's like, all right, well done.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I was impressed that, probably just because I've seen so many of those CW shows, which at one point they'll look great, the next moment they, it looks, the effects are terrible, or it looks like some cheap shot or something. But I felt like they really spent the money on this one, to where nothing really took me out of it. So it all looked real enough or believable enough. Even the giant cow thing, was, it just didn't remove me out of what I wasn't in my phone. So, of course, amazing soundtrack we would expect with James Gunn. Like we said, the theme is, he picked a banger, guys. So, but everybody else, was good enough that I took an interest in those characters too, for just being, a couple of them just being throwaway characters in the scene in Suicide Squad. And then I liked the ending enough. I thought it had a little twist to it there. Spoilers for Peacemaker if you haven't seen it yet, but had a little twist at the ending of her holding the press conference and exposing. I'm like, did they just blow up the Suicide Squad franchise? I'm like, what happened? So
yeah, that will have repercussions in whatever they do next.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought the humor was great. You know, the raccoon tied to the helmet and like they
And
cut
it's
to him with scratches all over his
scratches.
face. Like perfect joke. But then they didn't skimp on the action. I love the jailbreak scene of the police station, the bugs swarming, and they go into the prison, and then that final fight scene where they bring the theme song back,
Yeah.
and they have the fight scene set to the theme song. So yeah, the action, the comedy, the heart, it all worked for me. So I said for a show I was low on my list of expectations, not a character I was really in love with or something I was really looking forward to. I thought it pulled it off really well, and then of course had a ton of buzz for that ending cameo
Yes.
joke button at the end there.
Yeah, and I mean, and I did not expect that,
No.
because after this many episodes, I mean, it was pretty clear that we weren't going to have, any big Superman cameo or anything. And then boom, at the very end, I was just like, man, that was pretty good. And
Good. It was good.
We need more judo master. If anybody's the breakout character in this thing, it's got to be Judo Master. So,
Judo Master's been wanting more Judo Master for a long time.
But then the whole thing hinging on, they gave him a choice, and he does what he does because he doesn't want him to hurt his friends. And it's like that. When this show started, like episode 1, I would never have thought that's what it would have an emotional payoff like that of like, he's fighting for other people, and that's just kudos.
Not just peace.
Do either of you guys have the Apple TV Plus?
I do.
You do? Did you watch any of the Severance?
I haven't watched anything on there.
Why do you have to?
Ted Lasso. We got a year free.
This is not Ted Lasso. It's the opposite of Ted Lasso. Well, I watched the third episode came out today. They dropped 2 the first week and then 1 today, so I'm assuming it's going to be weekly here on out.
When you mentioned that in the text, I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
I've not heard anything about this.
It's Adam Scott and John Turturro and a bunch of people. Patricia Arquette. Most of the episodes are directed by Ben Stiller, and he did that Escape from Dannemora that was on Showtime that was so good. You watched that, didn't you? I really loved that show. It had Benicio del Toro and
I think I had Showtime at that point, but didn't watch
it was so good. It was a really good show. Nobody watched it, but it was really good. So if you ever get Showtime again randomly. Anyway, this is I'm just gonna tell you find out in the part, most of the way through the first episode what the conceit is. But it is, anyone that doesn't want to know, if you're going to watch the show, maybe skip this. But if you're still needing push to watch it, this is kind of the concept of the show is, and it's kind of weird. You don't understand what's going on, but they're at work in this, the same deal with like Loki, where everything is like, the computers they're using are the old green text on black screen.
Oh, I remember those well.
What are they? Retro
17 crap. Colors of green.
It's just that this is the stylized version of every weird office show now. But anyway, there's some girl that's very confused by what's going on. But the concept is there is a thing called Severance that this company has signed up for, where you sever yourself, your work self, from your home self and your mind, basically. And I've only watched 3 episodes. Not everything has been revealed, but basically your work self doesn't know anything that's going on at home, and your home self, vice versa, but you're in the same body. You just leave, and like this girl tries to leave, and she walks, and when she walks out the door, she's coming right back in it, and it freaks her out. Just like, I was trying to leave, go home. Like, you did, you're back. You know, it's like it shows you some of both sides, but it's like you soon realize that is as cool as that sounds to your outside self. It's a nightmare for your work self. You never stop working. So it's pretty dark, but interesting as things are slowly revealed, and see how people are amusing themselves at work when there is no respite from it, you know. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, it feels very Black Mirror.
It is extremely a series made out of a Black Mirror concept. So that's definitely the feel I got right away. I'm digging it so far. I'll definitely ride it out here, but it's getting rave reviews from people that have seen the whole series, reviewers, but so it definitely makes me want to stick with it. It's pretty dark. You're trying to figure out what the heck's going on, but you can request to quit. Like the girl immediately is like, well, I quit, but your outside self has to agree to it. They're loving it. So what are you guys watching?
I finally caught up on This Is Us.
Oh yes,
yesterday.
Final season.
Final season.
Cliff and I are big fans of this. This Is Us.
Have been. A little disappointing so far this year.
I'm not liking it. It's fine, but not much of those big reveals or anything.
Well, we've gotten to the point where there's only so many things that can happen to these families, and I feel like a lot of it we've covered like 2 or 3 times. Like, we know that Toby and Kate get divorced. We know, that what happens with what's the mom's name? Rebecca. Yeah, we know, that she passes away. I just feel like it's a good time to end it. But
they may have something else up their sleeve, but I would think if I was these people, I would have been packing the writer's room to make this last season really pay off, and they're not doing that.
Well, I noticed they recast some of the young kids, just because those kids have grown, right. And that threw me off an episode there before I got used to it. A couple good things I did like. The storyline with Deja I've enjoyed. Her growing up, this was the adopted daughter, and Randall struggling with with her becoming an adult and having a serious relationship and all that. Like that, I can relate a little bit to that. And there was an episode where, spoilers, Jack's mom dies. And I thought that was a really good episode. Yeah. It was pretty emotional, just because it's a show I've watched for several years now, and that's a character that really hasn't been explored. And we knew that she was in.
That's the stuff I want to see, though. But I don't feel like these last few have had.
They haven't
things like that. It's just all about the, what's his name, and the girl that's dating the other guy.
Kevin.
I can't. Yeah. It's all about Kevin and her. And I do. It's like, okay, I like everybody on the show. It's just like, enough of that. That's not interesting. That's like a normal show.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, do some of this back and forth stuff. That's what we want.
Yeah, definitely. So I really enjoyed that episode of him going back and discovering this life she had after he was the one that got her away from her husband, from his dad, and they lived their life scared of him, that type of thing. That was a good episode.
I wanted to see some flashback to her making him corn sandwiches or something.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've enjoyed
Randall.
Randall. I've enjoyed the Uncle Nicky stuff too. Like,
that was a good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, when they, he's obsessed over this
that was
love.
That was something.
Yeah, and I thought that was
so the season started out decent.
Yes,
it's these last 2 or 3 episodes that are I don't know, when it came back, it took a few weeks off, or it came back this week, and I got excited, and I was like, nope, it was nothing. It was the worst episode of the season.
It's been very hit or miss, but yeah, I was happy to get, because I was weeks behind. I had to take an afternoon to get caught back up with that one. So I did watch that. So I'm glad we got to talk about that before it's all said and done. I'm sure it's a show I've really enjoyed. I'm sure when it's wrapped up that I'll miss it for a little bit before something else comes along. So.
You know what else is in its final season?
What?
The Walking Dead.
Oh my God! What's been happening?
It's back again.
Oh my God!
Read to me.
I can't even explain it, but
do it in a lullaby form.
So this final season, they've stretched out into 24 episodes.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
So they're doing 3 sections of 8. So we've already had the first 8. So the second 8 just started. So we're in the middle.
I understand, man.
The middle of the final season, but there's still like 16 episodes to go here. So
beginning in the middle.
So I've seen people, at least online, or people I've chatted with at the shop, who've said, I might check it out before it. People who everyone watched it at the beginning, and I feel like people were saying they'll come back to it just to see how it ends. But I don't know that I've really seen any evidence of that. So I don't know if people have hopped back on quite yet. But
I could see the draw there. If not everybody has some. It's just story time. They might want to check back in and see what Daryl's doing. But
right. But apparently, when the first set of the final season aired, it was the top launch viewership ever on AMC Plus. It was the biggest week of signups they had that year for that service, because you get the episodes a week early. So the show still has some kind of draw. Like, it got people to sign up for AMC Plus. So I don't know. The numbers will never be the record-breaking heights that they were, but there's still some cachet there for people. But yeah, this one just kind of reset things that they're famous for. They kind of wrapped up all their dangling plot lines in one episode, and they're like, now for some new stuff. There's this whole thing with the Reapers, this other group of bandits that were running around, and they this girl that Daryl had known for some time had fallen in with them, and that was a whole thing, and now it's over. And Maggie and Negan were still having it out, and he said he realizes, we're never going to be cool. You're never going to not want to kill me, so I'm leaving. So Negan leaves the group, and then the episode ends because Eugene and his little crew, the princess, and a lot of people had gone to the Commonwealth, who are the people in the stormtrooper outfits. They've got a whole giant community of millions of people, and electricity and restaurants, and they've kind of figured out. That's what they've hinted at.
Wow,
there's it's a very large area, but there might be something rotten underneath. I don't know. But so Eugene and his group got processed into the Commonwealth and are kind of figuring out what's going on. So at the end of this premiere episode, Eugene comes back to Alexandria with this group of people in these stormtrooper outfits. He's like, hey, don't shoot. They're friends. And so he has brought the Commonwealth to them. And the guy comes out and says, hey, you got a choice. You want to come, we'll help you set up Alexandria and make it self-sustaining, or you can come hang out with us at the Commonwealth. Boom, black screen, 6 months later. And it shows a group at Hilltop who look kind of ragged, and Maggie's at the top of the wall, like ready to fight. And these group of Commonwealth people come up. One of them takes his helmet off, and it's Daryl. Daryl's in the stormtrooper outfit. So we've jumped 6 months, and some of the survivors have gone to the Commonwealth, and some have stayed behind and done their own thing. So that's where they've drawn this. These final episodes will be this schism between the survivors we've known and loved. So could get interesting. I always hold out hope for this show to get interesting.
Yeah.
And someday I won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I'm willing to invest 5 minutes every month for you to tell me what happened. That sounds like a great reveal. I remember those issues. Of those 3 different locations, having to figure it out. Good stuff. It's not that long ago in comic form that they really going through it.
It feels like
it does make me curious how they'll end it. Like,
yeah,
considering how closely they are kind of following the comics.
Well, that like Judith has the cowboy hat and all that now, right? Like,
yeah, they've definitely focused more on Judith and. Yeah.
Feels like forever ago that we started talking about that.
Yeah. What's a banger every week? Cliff knows.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff knows what's up. Euphoria.
Amazing.
All right, have we at all intrigued you yet?
Not really. Maud Apatow was on Seth Meyers at some point this week, and they showed a clip of this high school play she was in, and she was telling stories about when she was in drama class in high school and how serious she took it. And she just seemed very delightful. She seemed like a delightful young lady.
Yeah, I really like her.
Her character's been kind of in the background these first 2 seasons.
So if this is a show about a bunch of nice, delightful young ladies, I think I could watch it.
It is. It's so delightful. Honestly, we're all just riding the razor's edge until the guy running the show gets canceled.
Yeah.
Sam Levinson is his name. I looked up. I'm like, whoever's running the show is just freaking running the razor's edge. Where he's got it on red line, and any moment now they're gonna be like, there's gonna be some expose about how he made these people do all this stuff. Like, yeah. But it's so good.
We need to talk about Euphoria.
Yeah, we do. I can't get over how good it is and how each episode can be a different form of good. Like, just they're crazily different episodes, and just like this penultimate episode of the second season is incredible. It's incredible. And it's this play that Maud Apatow's character has put together and starred in and everything.
Directed.
And it is the most incredible high school play that could ever possibly.
It's amazing.
Totally could ever be imagined, which is what this show is. It's like hyper everything is the show, which is, it's great. It's like, we thought that's what Riverdale was. No, this is hyper craziness. Only I don't even know how to explain it, but this play, you have to get to that. You have to watch this play. Like,
it pays off.
It so pays off. It's like everything you've seen up to this point. She makes a play about it and just exposes everyone in the audience, and they end up loving it basically at points and hating it at others. And some people can't take the heat and some people can. And, climaxes in this locker room dance number to Holding Out for a Hero that is just amazing.
Rue's reaction. That reaction shot was, I was like, that is the best shot of the entire show. Just that look she gives was so perfect.
That scene gets better and better. It's like whoever choreographed that is just like, it's amazing. And we know that from previews that the final episode, the play is not over. Yeah. There's more play to come. Like, I can't wait for this finale. Like, it's one of my favorite shows. When I know there's a Euphoria episode, I'm like, this is it. Yeah. This is going to be great.
You know, it was funny because my wife, she watched it first before I had seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she was in the kitchen or something, come in, and I had it on the other night, and she's like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "What?" I was like, "This episode is so good." She goes, "Yeah, I didn't care for it much." And she loves this show. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of lost steam and I got bored with it." And I was like,
wrong.
That is not the reaction.
It's the best. I think it's the best episode yet.
I do too.
Oh my gosh.
As soon as I finished it, I immediately, was talking to you guys on the messenger. I was just like, I can't believe how good this was. I was having so much fun along with them.
What was so neat is like that all these, first off, it's just that in reality, none of this would happen. Like,
yeah,
there's no high school that's going to have all these guys in this play doing this number.
No.
And yet I love that in this reality, you have all these guys willing to do that, but only one guy in the play, the main guy in that scene, plays every male character in the play. Mm-hmm. He plays they have all these other guys. They don't use any of them.
Only for this number.
He plays every male character in the play, which is amazing because, I don't know. It's so funny what storylines they dropped off, once they are using, and honestly, again, to call this guy out, I feel like you get more scenes if you're the ones that wear the least clothes, or who's willing to get naked. Yeah. Okay, you're part of the show. This guy's going down. Well, I will say the press he is getting is most of the actresses are saying, when he will just be like, okay, now Minka Kelly came out and said, if she shows up.
Yeah, that really surprised me. I was like, holy cow, what is she doing in this show?
Well, she basically shows up as an older,
an older version
that one
of
girl
Maddie.
older. Let her see what she's going to be like someday. But at one point, she was asked to get naked and undress in front of her, in front of this Maddie or whatever, and and instead she was just like, "How about I just ask her to unzip me," and which is what was in the show.
Yeah, that's what.
And so basically everyone's comment is, he asked us all to get naked, but we don't have to. And if we, he immediately is like, "Oh, okay, okay, that's fine. We'll just do that then." He's not going to make them do anything.
Yeah,
but if you want a lot of screen time, there are some scenes that are a little uncomfortable. Like,
oh, yes.
It's like, why is that guy dressing that girl in this last? It was just like there's no need for that scene. Like, it doesn't even. It's a dream and stuff. I think I don't even know. Half the show's a dream. Who knows what's going on? It's ridiculous, but it's great. It's a great show.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, because I meant to ask my wife when we were talking about it the other night. Like, there's a lot of characters, but who is kind of your favorite? What is your favorite? Like, when they come on screen, like, this is going to be good.
Well, at times it's Sydney Sweeney, whenever Cassie's on screen, but that's just whatever. But I mean, I like Maud Apatow and Fez.
Fezco is obviously going to be the fan.
He's the favorite character. He's just because he is the most likable character. Mm-hmm. That guy, that actor, the cadence he talks in. And the way he talks and says the most innocent things when he is in and when he is entrenched in illegal things, he is also the most lovable character who's had the worst backstory and has a sidekick who basically is what's judo master. and he is like so much more grown up than Fez. He's like so ready to just murder everybody.
Every time Ashtray comes on screen, he's the
that's
one.
His name. Ashtray. It is like Bizarro Riverdale. It's just right. It's just they're lug nut ashtray. We've got it all. But
yeah, it's great.
I don't know. I love it. I can't wait to see how this season wraps up and see where we go from here. Like, I think they nailed it this season.
I don't know how you top it.
I don't know. I don't either. I'd run it off a cliff right here. Just do it. Just do it. Do it all.
That wasn't the only gratuitous nudity on TV this week. Hulu had plenty of it.
Oh yeah.
Pam and Tommy.
Are you guys? You're all caught up.
I'm all caught up. Yeah.
I'm caught up.
I'm not there yet, but I'm
not gonna spoil it, but the latest episode, which probably all you haven't seen, is kind of, it's just like Pam centric episode.
Okay.
You know, it just kind of follows her and her frustrations, but it's
I think it's supposed to be 8 episodes total. I think that's what I saw.
What are they gonna drag out for 8 episodes? What 2 episodes in, you're like, okay, you've expended the story.
That's what I thought too. My wife keeps telling me, "Oh, it's going to take a turn. It's going to take a female-centric turn." And I'm like, "What are you talking? Like, I have no idea what they could possibly have left in the show." Yeah. So
this is Lily James as Pamela Anderson, who you would know from the Cinderella live-action movie, right?
I did not know that.
Is that what you know her from?
I did not put that together.
Was it Cinderella? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think of her as Baby Driver.
Baby Driver. Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
And Sebastian Stan, Bucky himself, the Winter Soldier, as Tommy Lee.
He's a Tommy Lee, Mark Hamill lookalike.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is both too short to be a stormtrooper and Tommy Lee.
That I had
because
that
is the biggest thing that bugs me about this show is that
Tommy Lee
is too short to be Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee is freaking tall as hell.
Yeah,
and most people wouldn't go bother at all. But knowing that throws me off.
Yeah, it threw me off too because
he plays him like an idiot. He's not an idiot.
Yeah, I like his manic energy and his craziness and how off kilter he is, but it's like no human being can be like that 24 hours a day. I know drugs are involved, but you can't keep that up for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah, I thought it was very odd. The first episode, they're barely in. The first episode focuses almost entirely on Seth Rogen and Nick Offerman as the guy who stole this famous tape. And it's like, oh, are we focusing more on that side of things? And then the second episode is back. So I'm like, that's a weird way to frame this. Like, it's a show about Pam and Tommy, and we're gonna wait to show them. So it's taken some interesting or unexpected turns, I guess. But
yeah,
I was more interested in the schlub, the schlub trying to sell the tape. Like that was an interesting story.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I like you said, this last one is the first time I kind of felt. You feel, Pam's, she's not okay with this, and Tommy's had more of it. It's just kind of washing off him, like whatever. But this is causing her more distress. So there might be some femininity. What do you call it?
Yeah.
Feminist streak in here, but
I don't know. The little things that always fascinate me, the nostalgia of it, like when nobody knows what the internet is, and then every time they show somebody using the internet, like, just it takes forever. And I'm just like,
I remember those days.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, oh my god, I totally forgot how long everything took to load. But I don't know. The story was first few episodes I thought was pretty good. I thought they were fine as far as the actors in it.
It's one I will definitely watch all the way through, but I am never in any hurry to get to it.
Yeah, I see the difficulty it would be trying to cast those parts. Like as far as
they nailed nailed it. As far as I don't think they could have done better as far as casting. I just don't think he plays he's playing Tommy Lee realistically. It's a caricature of a rock star.
And everyone has come out, like, they've both distanced themselves from it. Pam said she would have no involvement with it. I've seen people come out like, this was a total fabrication. Like, members of Motley Crue have said this is a joke. We never met Third Eye Blind. Like
it doesn't feel like it's
the show is elevated for drama effect, and like everyone's coming out and saying this didn't really happen. It's like, no, I don't think anyone's taking this as the gospel truth.
No,
I also but I also remember that god awful movie they did, that biopic they did for Netflix The Dirt a few years ago, and how terrible it was. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys were totally approved and were involved in this one, and it was.
Well, the biggest thing is, she does a good job. She's
excellent.
The main attraction is that they could not have done better finding someone to look and act like Pamela Anderson. It's amazing. It's uncanny for a lot of it, and I
would say the same thing about Jason Mantzoukas. Who provided the voice. So.
Yeah,
we know. Those were some close-up shots.
Weirdest,
perfect casting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Well, I thought it was the most anticlimactic of all the Big Brother I've watched in my long history with that show. I thought that ending of Celebrity Big Brother was pretty settled long ago.
I almost said a couple weeks ago that Misha was guaranteed to win, and because there's nobody he was going to go up against at the end and win. Like, they were all going to hate him by the end.
I wondered if that came as a surprise to him, that everyone in the house ended up hating Todrick by the end of the show.
Well, the one thing
was he shocked by that, or was that like,
a lot of he thought that he had a chance because a lot of them leaving the house were saying he did the best job. And honestly, in a normal season, he would have been okay. But Celebrity Big Brother, they go home and still have access to the internet. So he's screwed. Like, they're not sequestered. They're going to go home, find out he was a butthole, and then they would hate him.
Because I personally lost all sympathy for him by the end of the way he sniped at people, and like, I don't like Chris Kirkpatrick. Like, you've shamed your son or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you doing?
It's all this stuff that, if you give anybody advice going into the Big Brother house, it's like, don't be nasty. There's no reason for you to go in there and be awful to people. It's never going to get you anywhere in the end. Just go in there and be nice. Don't tell people you're a good person. Try to be a good person. And that guy was just a mess. And plus, he did things that he would say things in there that just made the internet crazy. He's big on Cameo, and I can't believe he said this. He was telling somebody else in there, because that was not on Cameo, and he was telling them how much money you could make doing cameos. And he said, and you don't even have to do anything special. He's like, I do the same thing every time. They all think it's special. He goes, but I just use their name
anymore.
And say, yeah. And he just and he said the message that he does, that everybody pays for, and that he does for every single person. And it's like, you just said that and everybody saw that. Like, you're an idiot. He's an idiot. So it's I'm glad he was
painted as like the mastermind who knew the show. It's like, he didn't seem. Yeah, I feel like Misha got him the whole way. So.
Yeah, but he was smart enough to attach himself to the right person. He did know how to play the game to get there, and he did. But he's like Russell Hanson, Survivor. You can get to the end, but you have to be able to win. The jury has to like you at the end and want to feel good about giving you the win. And he did not do that. Plus, ever since then, he's been exposed. There's the hashtag Todrick exposed. Like people, all these dancers, he hasn't paid. All this stuff, they're just like exposing him for being an awful person. But anyway, I'm sure he's not all that bad. He just has been, all his faults have been displayed in front of everyone. He signed up for it.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. Welcome to the internet. Take a look inside. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was the worst of celebrity seasons. It was probably one of the worst of any form of Big Brother we've ever seen. And I'm already moved on to Big Brother Canada.
Oh, so,
Canada.
That'll be
it'll be the 10th season's about to start. It's a great show. In fact, one of the Star Wars things that setups they were showing for this galactic stuff is basically what the Big Brother Canada house has always looked like. It's like, what? Where have you been? They've been living in style up there, Big Brother Canada.
Do they not have like a different house every time?
It's the same house, but they redecorate it every time.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Like the one in California that they use it for Big Brother Celebrity. They use it for Big Brother all these years. It's the same house. It's just they redo it. They finally redid. They had a spiral staircase for all these years, and they finally redid that. Worried somebody hurt themselves, and now it's the first time I've seen people falling on the regular stairs. Anyway, whatever. Let's talk some movies.
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod! On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
I went to the theater.
What?
Yep.
Boy, you are getting out.
I know. Well, nobody was there. A few people were there, but nice 4:00 showing, I think, for Uncharted. I wanted to see the video game movie. Notoriously terrible video game movies. That's how we had a good video game movie yet? I don't know. Can't think of one off the top of my head, but one of my favorite video game series is Uncharted. The first game was fine. The second game was incredible. And they just always at the top of the heap in graphics and fun gameplay and story and everything. Puzzling, adventuring, Indiana Jones style. Good time. Highly recommend. Cannot recommend enough the Uncharted series of games. So they're gonna make.
I was surprised by how positive your review was. When you didn't seem real hyped to check it out.
Well, I thought it would be terrible, and I'm in it. Trust me, I'm in the low percentage of people that thought this was good. I still wouldn't even say like it's a great movie. It hit me just right. Like tons of things could have been better about it. Been in development for a decade. I don't.
Yeah, I saw them say Mark Wahlberg was originally supposed to be the younger character.
Yeah.
It's been development for something.
Yeah, he originally was supposed to be Nathan Drake and ends up being Sully. But Tom Holland plays Nathan Drake, and by the time the story got around, we're setting it up as a young Nathan, younger than the video games. Kind of a prequel here to build up to hopefully become a franchise, and had mixed reviews, but they got there. It made money, and I foresee a sequel for sure. Like they'll do it. I don't think they pulled off everything, but there was something about it that I enjoyed. It was heavily CGI. A big mistake they made, how like I love the Mission Impossible movies and Tom Cruise doing all these things, or even if you have a stunt man doing things, it makes any movie that the goal is to make it look like they're doing these things. At no point in this movie does it look like anybody's doing anything. Like the whole scene you see in the preview, which is straight out of the video game, climbing the cargo, hanging behind a plane, is so CGI and unrealistic. There's no worries of anybody getting hurt or anything. So fail there, but I thought that had funny moments. Mark Wahlberg, like I said, some people say he was terrible in this. Some people say he was good at this. I thought he filled the position. He plays good at being a dope.
Good enough.
Yes, he was good enough. He was just like being the guy, the older of the two, perfectly comfortable with crossing the guy, only cared about the treasure, yada yada. Had some good dopey lines. And man, there is a line that I wrote down as one of my lines of the year. I want to see if anything beats this line from a movie. We will see at the end of the year. But it was just a nice little adventuring thing. I don't even think the puzzles were great or anything, but something about it scratched the itch. If you like those video games, I can't say you will love it. I did say that to your brother. I messaged your brother and said, Jared, if you like the video games, you're gonna love this. Like, it's not great. I'm thinking it's not great, but it is definitely, take your kids, if they know these games, they're gonna like it. I would think Cooper would like this.
Yeah, he would probably like it.
It's just like it's totally fine. And the third act is, I loved the set piece. How it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why anybody is complaining about how much sense it makes, but the set piece of what they do for the final battle, like what they're fighting on and stuff, is really neat and extremely Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all about it. I enjoyed it. It was worth my $8, and I was totally glad that I went and saw it on the big screen.
By the way, because I just looked at a whole list of video game movies and they're all terrible.
Yeah.
Michael would say Tron. I would argue Tron Legacy is a pretty good movie. And that's the only one out of the...
It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, really good soundtrack. But that's the only one out of all the video game movies I just looked through, and it was a lot. Tron Legacy.
I feel like, yeah. Oh, well, when I left, my thoughts were this. Superhero movies used to be terrible.
Yeah.
And they figured them out.
Mm-hmm.
They finally figured out superhero movies. Video game movies have always been terrible. And this was the first time I was like, oh, wait a minute. They haven't figured it out yet, but this is like early X-Men movies. Like, they're on the cusp of nailing it.
Yeah.
So this is Blade. This is like we're getting somewhere. They've got some traction, and maybe in 10 years they will have figured it out.
Some Tom Hollands are always trying to ice skate uphill.
That's right.
I had similar. That's a quote from Blade, everyone. If you don't know your Blade back to front. I had a similar thought about a movie just dropped on HBO Max, Free Guy. I thought that's a movie. It's very video gamey. People who game would love it. I think kids are really gonna like it. It's a Ready Player One kind of feel. Yeah. You're in a video game world. I thought that's gonna play on cable every weekend for years to come. Like I think that's gonna be big. But I think it just dropped. Am I the only one who's watched that one?
Yes. I'm gonna watch it probably this week.
All right, we won't spoil that one then. But it's Free Guy is definitely a fun action sort of comedy.
One last thing I forgot this a stunner. Go to the theater to watch Uncharted. It's previews. The end of the previews, we get most movies now you get that I go and see anyway. You get the black screen with the white text, no photography.
Silence your phone.
No, that's not what I've been getting. I've been getting no photography, audio recording.
Okay.
It's basic what it says. It just said that's what they're worried about is recording.
The pirating.
No bootleggers.
Yeah, basically the bootlegger message from the VHS tapes. This was the first time that after that message, we got another message that was, I don't even know who it's from, whether it's Odyssey or it must be Odyssey, but it's the first time I've seen this message still reflecting, still saying something about recording, and you can't, no cameras, no video cameras, but it says no light. I don't want it was basically like, we don't want any light from your cell phone.
Oh.
And this is your only warning.
Wow.
And it said, if someone complains about you, you're out of here.
Oh,
and
the power.
Yeah. And it said, oh yeah. And it said, this is your only warning. You'll be asked to leave and no refunds. And I was like,
half
what?
the people in every theater I've ever gone to would be thrown out then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was like, oh man, I buckled in for no eating. But that's how they make all their money.
I would
no crinkling of your packaging.
Yeah, I would say
close your mouth when you chew.
It's an Odyssey thing, because Odyssey is it's a local. It's not a chain. Well, there's like they own like 3 theaters, right? The group that has it. There's like one here and 2 in Wisconsin or something.
Yeah.
But newsflash, if you don't know, listeners, there are cameras in every theater. So they can see what you're doing, in case you didn't know that. When those lights go down, it doesn't mean you're free to do whatever you want. They do have cameras for that. But Odyssey
didn't catch me recording Rise of Skywalker.
Odyssey, they are since they've opened as Odyssey, they bought out the old group Regal or whatever when it was that. Yeah. They are much stricter on outside food and drink. Like, they are on top of people.
They don't. You can't do that. But I don't want any food.
Yeah, I know.
I want them to sell their own.
But I've seen.
I want them to say, "You can get your popcorn on the way out."
I've seen
after
other
we kick you out for
theater
your phone on.
ownership, like, just let it go. I remember in that same theater when it was owned by somebody else. I remember every week we would go to the movie theater, and I had a friend that would walk over to the Hills department store, buy the giant bag of popcorn that they sold, and carry it in for, like, because it was like $2. You got this huge popcorn. But I vividly remember that, and I know since Odyssey has had ownership of our theater.
I've never tried anything that blatant, but if I got a pack of Twizzlers in my pocket, you're not getting it from me.
Right. I just thought that was an extreme message from them.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is neat. Like, I couldn't believe that they're discouraging anyone coming to the theater. Right. It was just like, at this time, you think they'd be like, I would think the message would be like, chill out. If somebody wants to see what time it is, that's what time it is. No,
they're like, off. Put your feet up.
They're like, you know what time it is? It's time for you to get the hell out of here if you turn your phone. One other movie, I think Jordan and I both watched Kimi on HBO.
Kimi.
Steven Soderbergh quit being a director a decade ago. He said he retired and has kept making movies the whole time. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. It's the best movie I've seen so far in 2022.
Wow.
It's the first one on my list.
Right.
No, I thought it's very Rear Window. I thought it had a very blowout sort of feel as well.
Yeah, blowout is what I thought of. Yeah.
I called it Ear Window.
Ear Window.
Ear Window. She hears something she thinks is a crime.
Right.
But it was a very pandemic sort of, she's stuck in her house, working remotely from home. So it was very of the moment, technology, paranoia, it felt very of right now.
I thought the choice, this is the first movie I've seen where anybody paid attention to the fact that it's during COVID and people are wearing masks.
Yeah.
Whenever you leave the house, the people out there are wearing masks, and that is definitely a part of the movie. And it's the perfect movie, like you said, to do it with, because this technology will look stupid in a few years anyway. So you might as well tie it to this moment in time.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Zoe Kravitz, pretty much a solo, most of the movie is just her in a room, but I thought it escalated well enough. I thought a good kind of action chase scenes at the end.
Nice and short too.
Yeah.
So wasn't too bad.
And I had one recommendation for a documentary, just nominated for an Oscar, Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised is the full name. So this is Questlove from The Roots, who is his first time being a director. It's on Hulu, I think. It might be streaming a couple different places, but they played it on ABC one night last week, just as a primetime network thing. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'll record that. So this was the Harlem Cultural Festival in the summer of 1969. So the exact same summer as Woodstock, which, Woodstock has taken on mythic proportions. Woodstock is a historical moment that, it's a cultural touchstone. And this was completely forgotten. Questlove is renowned for his musical knowledge. His vinyl collection takes up rooms. Like, he knows music backwards and forwards, and he had never heard of this. There are people who don't believe it even existed. But over 300,000 people attended it over 6 weeks. So it was like a summer concert series where they did, this weekend was jazz, this weekend was gospel, this weekend was soul. Like, they spread it out over the whole summer, and free admission in this big park in Harlem. I said over the course of a summer, over 300,000 people attended. They filmed it with the intentions of broadcasting it somewhere. And the film, for 1969, the film is excellent. And they said they used the original audio as well. They didn't have to tinker with the audio at all. So they really took care to record this. They had crane shots, they had up close shots, crowd shots. They had everything covered, and they couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted it. So it sat in a basement for 50 years. So
I watched the first few minutes of it just to get a little taste, because I was running out of time. And the other day, and that opening number with like Stevie Wonder playing the drums and singing, it was great. I was like, and then showing the crowd shots of all the people up in the climbing trees and up in the trees to watch, and it was amazing. That's something I'd never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And Woodstock has a very famous film, so that this could have been that, but it's not just a concert film. He interweaves the history of the time. As the moon landing happens during this, there's 20-some Black Panthers are on trial.
Allegedly.
Oh yeah. So there's a lot politically going on in America at that time, of course. But here in the midst of all this is this very peaceful, positive, good vibes, inspirational kind of celebration going on. And it was forgotten. So take that as you will. But so never before seen footage. Stevie Wonder, Nina Simone, B.B. King, The Fifth Dimension, Mavis Staples, the Staples Singers, Mahalia Jackson, Gladys Knight, Sly and the Family Stone. So just the heavyweights of Black culture at that time. So this, to me, it was just like, I teared up at points. Like, it was so powerful. And then to hear, like, they would have people, they were interviewing people who attended the festival, and you could see them watching footage from it and just their eyes going like they hadn't seen this in 50 years, and just it all coming back to them. And they talked to some of the surviving performers. They talked to Gladys Knight and some of these folks, and just talking about what it meant to them to perform on that stage. And it hits really powerfully. And it just, again, it's just another reminder of what racism can be, in that it's not always malicious. It's not always, there was no cigar chomping white guy like, no one will ever see this footage, I'll bury it. See, like, this is not malicious racism. This is the racism of the decision makers who say what's significant and what's not, who prioritize, is this meaningful? Is this important? And if it's not to you, then it just gets shuffled off to the side. So, just ignoring other people's culture and history that you don't care about. And that's a perfect example of this. And this footage, it's just an expression of pure joy and Black pride and community. And it like I saw an interview with Questlove talking about like this could have inspired people for generations. Like, you know, I'm sure there's people who've seen footage of Woodstock and want to learn to play guitar or thought, oh, peace and love. We could, you know, Woodstock has meant something to people who were never even born when it happened. And, you know, this could have done that for lots of little kids, lots of people. And it was not allowed to. So I'm glad it exists. It's a really powerful expression of art. And I just thought it was excellent.
Yeah, does make you think of like an alternate reality of just something as simple as that. Some guy, he may not have been chomping a cigar, but he definitely was dismissive of something he didn't get.
Yeah, they took it to the studios, and no one. There won't be an audience for this, so it just sort of frittered away.
Yeah,
it
probably
crazy.
Would have been huge.
Yeah.
I think we did it.
All right, that's lots of stuff worth watching and checking out, and there'll always be more, I hope.
Oh man, there's content with a capital C going on.
We'll get this content. We'll track it down. We'll pin it to the
We'll
ground
watch it all,
about
and then you pick what sounded good to you.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you later. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye, Trevor.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.